Hello everybody, Senior Engineer, MBA, and investor. And indeed, this is my first video in over 50, 60 days, something crazy like that. And of course, my first video. It's been a while, a little bit rusty here, but we'll do our best here to go through this video. Now, a couple of notes here before I jump in today's video, which obviously the title says what it's going to be about. I took a little bit of break on YouTube for many reasons, right? There are little reasons, not any big reasons as per se, just the usual stuff, busy with work. Also, as you can probably tell, this is a different office here in Toronto. It's because I actually moved from one condo to another. So obviously I was somewhere before, I moved to another place. I actually bought that place recently, very recent. So and obviously with travel plans and everything, just been busy with work and my day job. And also I think from the CRISPR side of things, I've always said in this channel that I wanted to shift over genomics, specifically CRISPR, because I just think it's a sector that not a lot of people are talking about. And I think in hindsight, I should continuously make videos on it because it's, again, a sector that not a lot of people talk about it. And of course, there's a huge appetite for people in this market, whether you're invested in the companies or just, invested in the technology, right? I know in our community, we have investors, we have people on the sidelines, we actually have people in those companies watching our videos, at least when I was making the videos on a continuous basis. And I don't think that's going to be changing in this video. I want to talk about CRISPR. I want to talk about all of that. And of course, going forward in every subsequent videos, I want to keep talking about CRISPR. I think I thought about it this week. I got tagged in one of the X posts and someone said, a list of individuals. I think it was Yair actually who actually posted this video, which I'm going to get into shortly. But Yair on X said something like, a big shout out to all these people who post amazing content, and my name was on that list, and I thought about it. I said, you know what, I'm still active, here and there. People know, people can reach out to me. I'm talking about Bitcoin, talking about Tesla, I'm talking about some of these companies, the news, the markets, Canadian markets. Of course, I'm Canadian. But going forward, I think I want to go back to making these YouTube videos on YouTube. These YouTube videos on CRISPR. As you can tell, guys, I'm very rusty here. This is gonna take at least a video or two to get back into the regular program, as per se. So let's jump straight into it. So of course, this interview happened between CNN and Dr. Doudna. Of course, Dr. Doudna, one of the founders of this space, as you per se, if someone wants to put it in those lines. Of course, winner of the Nobel Prize, alongside with Dr. Charpentier. Dr. Doudna, of course, leading companies on the board of directors and the leadership side of things, more from the shadow side of things as opposed from the front end. Of course, involved with companies like Intellia, Mammoth Biosciences, and so on. Of course, Caribou as well. So this interview happened between Fareed Zakaria, which I don't need to introduce anybody in this channel. I think everybody who's grown up in this legacy media world, as things were phasing out from the legacy media, has seen this person on CNN. I remember my father used to watch CNN at home. I still remember every time Fareed would come, we would listen to him. Because he would explain certain things happening in the world through CNN, the live channel. Even if we're Canadians, right, we would watch CNN, and he's such an important, journalist. I think in the 21st century, I would argue he was one of the most known journalists in the 21st century, putting him besides maybe Anderson Cooper and some of those folks in that, legacy media world. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about this interview. I watched this interview obviously a couple of days ago. It was published just early September. Of course, Dr. Doudna's X account. It's not her posting. Obviously, it's her PR team retweeted or reposted the CNN interview. And I think the interview goes in details. It talks about the history, talks about CRISPR, talks about what CRISPR really means. I'm not gonna put the audio because I don't want to be banned here from YouTube on this video. I don't want my first video back to be delisted as per se. But it talks about the history, high level, talks about CRISPR, how it is, talks about a couple of details there, some interesting tidbits here. Again, it's a very short interview. This is the nature of legacy media, right? They're not gonna go too much in depth into these interviews. One, because they don't have the time, and two, they don't really have the audience for it, right? But speaking of the audience, it is a great thing to have, right? The fact that this space can have coverage from a legacy media like CNN. I mean, CNN has millions of boomers watching on a daily basis, right? Not just boomers, but even older folks, right? Even younger folks. I mean, I know people in their 40s watching CNN on a daily basis. I think this is the phenomena of the echo chambers, right? We, from the, in your early 30s, or some people watching this channel in their 20s, you think nobody watches legacy media. You think, everybody gets their information on X or on Reddit or even on Instagram, YouTube. But reality is a lot of people, after work, after putting their kids to sleep, after dinner, they turn on their live TV, go on a live channel, their local news channel, sometimes national channels such as CNN, and they're looking news for 1 hour, 2 hours before dozing off. This is done almost on a daily basis, right? Folks are still tuned in legacy media, and I've said this many times. It is gonna take years before tuning out legacy media, and by then, what form will legacy media take, right? At that point, they may just be strictly on social media, right? They may be, on a different form factor than it is, today, or even 10, 20 years ago. It's already been changing, but that's what I've been trying to tell folks. I think it's a good thing that these media outlets are covering CRISPR. We've seen articles from Wall Street Journal, from the Times. We've seen Financial Times. We've seen articles from different Yahoo Finance covered CRISPR and some of these companies. So it's always a good thing to have these interviews. Shout out to Fareed Zakaria, of course. This is an amazing interview, and of course, shout out to Dr. Doudna for being such an amazing spokesperson of CRISPR. I think this space owes that person a lot of things, a lot of things. But of course, I want to end with this couple of lines here saying that we are still early in this process, right? I know we have a FDA approved product. I know this is taking off. I wanted to make a couple of videos about the financial side of things. There were a couple of news about the potential revenues from CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex, what they're working on, their program. And, I want to take that opportunity here as we start making these videos again to talk about these sites, because this is what interests me, right? And I would presume that a lot of people watching this channel or these videos in the last few years also interest them, right? The financial side of things, the commercial side of things, the opportunities from the companies and investing. Look, we all want patients to be cured. We all want this to go forward. But there has to be an incentive for the world to move towards that, right? Governments are not going to look at a technology and just say, oh, that's cute, that's a nice YouTube video, that's a great speech from Dr. Doudna, let's approve it. That's not how it works, right? We need data, and afterward, you need a plan to implement these in regional centers and have a plan to deploy this on a mass scale so you can justify the cost of it, right? And then you can obviously move towards a sustainable economies of scale, right? Where you have more governments investing in, you can reduce the entry price of some of these therapeutics, or specifically CRISPR therapies that's out there that's going to be approved in the future. We all know it's going to happen, right? It's just a matter of time. I got asked this recently, what do you think, do you think the next CRISPR therapy is going to be available? And I've always told them, I don't think that really is the point. The point here is how many more data sets can we collect, and at what point do governments around the world sort of shift towards a more open mindset, and instead of looking at these, because you gotta remember, they're being approached by different people in the industry, right? Someone's pitching a drug, someone's pitching a therapy, someone's pitching some injection. they're bombarded with information, right? And the idea is how do these elected officials, or at least in democratic public democracies, of course, in the Western society, how can they filter out that noise and sort of narrow down on technologies that can really help people today, not in 20 years, not in 40 years, today. And I think we all know in this channel that CRISPR is definitely one of those tools in that toolkit that should be looked at seriously, as it's been done from Vertex and CRISPR Therapeutics. So I'm gonna end this video like this, guys. I think this is plenty here. Talked about the interview, talked about my comeback, talked about, of course, CRISPR as a whole. I'll be making more videos as we go. I am going to Florida next week for just under a week for a work conference, but I do want to tell everybody here to subscribe. We need that subscriber count to go up, guys. Please do subscribe. Like this video. Let's get back these videos back on people's homepage. And let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this interview? What do you guys want going forward with these videos? Let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great Sunday. Thank you.